to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. For those of you that have been at this a while, and by at this I mean at running your business, where did you start your business from? Did you work from the kitchen table? Like many of you out there, my guest today, Bessie Seeley, founder of Kardinia Interior Design, started in her home at the table. But what's unique about her story is that even as she grew her business, even as she continued to hire people, she remained working from her kitchen table throughout the first 4 years in her business. Bessie was referred to me by our previous podcast guest and my friend Meredith Huck, who was on the podcast episode 786. In that episode, Meredith talked about how she transitioned from the corporate world to closing 6 figures in business in her first 10 months in the industry. Pretty fabulous lady, and definitely check out that interview. Now, like Meredith, Bessie started out in the corporate world and built her business on the side. What you'll hear today is that she grew her business deliberately. She knew that she wanted to open a studio eventually, but she was strategic about the decisions she made on that path and what she prioritized first. Before we hear from Bessie, let's take a minute to mention that today's episode is sponsored by LuAnn University. LuAnn University is not just your average education. It is more than that. It is the support of your colleagues. It is a great experience. Each department and class is crafted to provide targeted, proven instruction in key areas of your interior design or window treatment business for profit and growth. All of it specific to interior design and window treatment industries. These are the things that you need to learn, but are always wondering, where do I go to learn this? Classes begin January 30th, 2024, and registration is currently open. If you're listening in real time, early bird pricing is open through December 19th, 2023. All right, that is, if you're listening in real time, just around the corner. So head to LuAnnUniversity.com now to select your courses and get your seats at early bird prices. All right, let's hear what Bessie has to say about what she learned running her business from the kitchen table. Hey, Bessie, thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Thank you so much, LuAnn, for having me. I am so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this conversation because I know that we've had it a few times here and there over the years, but I don't know when you're so close and in it. And right now, you've been in business 5 years.
Yes.
You spent 4 years operating pretty much from your dining room table and then like a shared workspace for client presentations. And now a year ago, you ventured out into a studio. And in that year, you've had tremendous growth, not just in like real estate, but in your team. And I'm imagining in your business, which we'll get to. And let's walk through that journey of what was the good and the bad of ugly of being at the dining room table? What was the impetus for like finally getting out? And what is the hindsight look 1 year out of, the pluses and the minuses of it? So
yes.
Start us off, start me off on the good and the bad and the ugly of being at the dining room table. I'm sure there's benefits and not benefits, right?
Of course. Yeah. So you're absolutely right. So I started my business alongside a corporate finance career. Actually, I was at a corporate finance role for 15 years, but always had a passion for design, loved everything about design, and started this alongside of that role. So that came with starting it from my dining room on the side when I had time, when I had free time. And my dining room became my studio. I had all of my samples. I had my desk. I had, at the time when I hired my first employee, we had meetings in my dining room. Monday morning team meetings were there. So, you know, thinking about opening a studio was so far off from when I first started the company. I mean, it's a huge investment, a huge risk. I knew at that time that it was always my dream to move into a studio, but it was going to take a lot of growth to get there. So yes, I made the most of the dining room space. We, certainly could not have client meetings there. I always wanted our clients to feel like they had an elevated experience, and that did not come with coming to my home. So we shared spaces outside of the studio, outside of the dining room, rather, to make those presentations happen. But we couldn't be a really well, a team that worked really well together from my dining room, because we weren't there together all day. And I envisioned, my designers pulling out samples and, looking at all of the pieces to make the design presentations come together. And that couldn't happen in the dining room. So, but it was many years of working really hard and hustling and building the business and getting bigger and bigger projects and sharing those projects that led me to make the decision to be serious about moving into an actual space.
I guess the thing that struck me most is that regardless of the fact, despite the fact that it was in the dining room, everything else about it was a properly set up business.
Yes.
Right? You weren't like, well, I've got a full-time corporate job, so I really can't do things exactly the right way on the design firm. You had your Monday morning meetings, you had your sample set up. It was like, and that's an interesting twist, because I have found that a lot of people, when they start their side hustle, not all, but a lot are just like, well, I'm just winging it over here until then. And when it's actually a real business, then I'll start with those things. And it seems like you started that right from the beginning. And like I said, it's irrelevant that it's at the dining room table.
Yes. No, I think not one of my clients knew that we worked out of the dining room in my home. I wanted the business always from the very, very beginning to feel, of course, real and authentic, and that we were putting in, this high level, high quality service. And so I think all of that happened behind the scenes. I wasn't always trying to be authentic. I wasn't hiding the fact that I was working out of my dining room, but I don't think I
advertised
I advertised it. I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that they were getting, a quality designer who was working in a beautiful space and had all of the equipment needed to pull together beautiful rooms and homes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it was great that we grew from there, but I knew that I had to eventually, as I grew my team, move into a different space.
Now, it's interesting, just to play devil's advocate here for a second and just share another opinion. For many years, for our entire year, probably a second or third year, we started business at Window Works. There is an architect designer in Long Island that her and I met at the very beginnings of our career. And we were her first window treatment place that she met. And she was one of the first designers that I started doing work with. And she worked out of her home until about her 33rd or 5th year.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
And the thing about it is, like, now she's a architect, like degreed architect, does the drawings, and she would generally have, I've talked about her on the show often. She would generally have, for the most part, 3 major projects a year. One project was in the sales and drawing phase, like, so the selling of the project to the consumer, and then the drawing phase. One project was always at the same time. So one project would be in sales and drawing. One project would be in construction, and a third project would be in installation. Because installation phase for jobs, like, they were typically the minimum home was about 10,000 square feet. Most often they were up to 20,000 square feet. And she designed the actual architecture of the home and did the drawings. She did the landscape architecture drawings.
Right.
And she did the interior finishes,
Wow.
everything
Wow.
from the crown moldings to the kitchen to the towel holders. Okay. And so each phase for a project this large. So installation phase is a 3 to 4 month phase because installation is like the tiles going
Sure.
in, then eventually the wall coverings going in and the drapers are going in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is every meeting I had with her was at the dining room table. Every meeting our clients had with her was at the dining room table. Now, the difference was she had junior architects and design assistants that worked on the third floor of her house. And that
Okay.
was off limits. Like you didn't go traipsing through
Right.
her
Right.
house to get to the office, but there was no need for the clients to be there or for me to be there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was finally like when she was about 33, 34, 35 years in business, she purchased this building in her area and she gutted this thing and made it everything she ever wanted: conference rooms, kitchens,
Amazing.
workspaces, all
Mm-hmm.
of the stuff. But I only say that to say this was your plan. Your plan, you knew from the beginning, was that it was a business and that it was a business that would get out of the house.
Yes.
Right. But
Yes.
somebody else is listening and saying, well, are we saying that's the only way I can be taken seriously? And what I'm telling you is it's between your ears, because if you
Yeah.
ever met this woman and you ever wanted to tell her that she wasn't the real deal, well, you would get
Yeah.
schooled,
Yeah.
because she's 5 foot tall, 100 pounds soaking wet, and she's a powerhouse, and she's just the
Love
epitome
it.
of confidence. And this is what we do. And I'll never forget the first time I showed up and it was her dining room. I
Love
had
it.
that thought, like, what the heck kind of ship shap show is this? You
Yes.
know what I mean?
Yes.
But like you have one conversation with her and like, oh, this lady knows exactly what she's talking
She's
about.
legit.
And
Yes.
she actually doesn't even realize that we're sitting next to her turkey
Oh
leftovers.
my
Like it
gosh.
was like
Yes.
nuts.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So anyway, I just share that because we're going to spend a lot of time now talking about your
Yes.
desires and the way
Yes.
you made them come true. But it's your path is the point.
Thank you. Yes, I love the path that I have taken, and it's come with a lot of hustle and a lot of heart and a lot of work, and but I'm really proud of it. I'm proud of where I started. I'm so proud of where I am now, and grateful. So it's great.
So what was your criteria? Did you almost sound like, if you guys remember Cheryl Luckett's show where she had Project 36. So she was doing her business as a side hustle from corporate as well.
Hmm.
And then she finally made a 36-month plan. And
Hmm.
she had her milestones of everything that she would accomplish up to the launch of leaving and starting the business full time. So
Hmm.
did you was it more organic for you, or was it like, cause you seem a little, maybe not as, planned as Cheryl was, but
Yes.
you do seem a little bit more towards that side.
I never sat down and wrote out a business plan and had everything planned out from day one. It did really happen very organically. And again, I started this while I had a corporate job. So I was feeling safe, safe to go out and get a website and make a logo and try to start building the business. And I was doing projects for friends, and then friends would share my work, and then other people would hear about it. And so I never really did that where I sat down and wrote out a solid business plan. It's happened very quickly, and it's happened organically, as you say.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I've just kind of made decisions as I go, and obviously with a lot of thought and with a lot of solid business background. I have an MBA from Crummer at Rollins College, so I have that background. But I think a lot of it has happened just very
Yeah.
naturally.
And take me back to the dining room table.
Yes.
So, for like, were there like definite pros and definite cons?
Yes.
That what were some of those things?
Yes. I mean, certainly the pro was I was able to have that additional, revenue to grow the team. The first thing that I did was spend time on and money on hiring someone, right? Hiring a team and not having to spend that on my own space. I live in Winter Park. I live about a half a mile from my studio now, so I'm in a great area. But it's an expensive area to have a studio, and so to have that in my home allowed me the ability to hire on a really great team. So Rita started with me from the beginning. She's now my lead designer. I knew that I needed more help on the technical side, so I was able to bring on a couple of freelance technical people who did CAD back then. And all of that, I was able to do by not having an expensive overhead and expensive studio space. So I think having those 4 years in my dining room allowed me the ability to grow the team. But again, we were kind of working in silos a little bit. I was working in my dining room, and we weren't together all the time, of course.
Yeah.
So that allowed for still great design, but I think our designs have gotten a lot better now that we have a shared space with, a sample library room, and we're all able to collaborate and work together. So yeah.
So in building the team, and I love that. It's a very conscious thing that you're saying. I'm not investing in studio and rent space, and therefore I'm investing in the personnel.
Yeah.
Did you just get lucky and find people that were like, oh, all right, I only come here on Monday morning. I have to, because like a lot of younger people that, want to work, they want to work with people, right?
Yeah.
Like, so,
Yeah.
so was that challenging, or that also just naturally worked out that the people that you were meeting were like, okay, I get it. It's fine.
Yeah, it naturally worked out. So again, I come from a corporate background where I had to show up, 9 to 6 and sit at my desk and sometimes in my cubicle and work all day. And, not to, speak negatively of that environment that works for a lot of people. It was tough for someone like me who's a creative to have to sit in one spot from 9 to 6 Monday through Friday and work, right? So I always said that if I started my own business, I would allow freedoms to the employees who work with me, because I don't necessarily think in this role we all have to be sitting at the same place at the same time under the same roof to do beautiful and create beautiful designs. And it has been really, really great that I have found the right team because they're all wonderful and I trust them, and I'm getting that back. I feel like giving them that freedom to not have to be, in one space all the time from 9 to 5 gives them the freedom. If they want to go and sit at Starbucks and they're creative there, then that's what I want them to do. And I'm getting all of that back. So I think I was lucky to find a team that didn't feel like they needed to be with a team all the time.
Okay. And so now that you are in the studio, you've continued that ability for everyone to be flexible. It sounds like.
I have continued that. So we are all in the office together on Mondays. We have our team meetings here, the full team. So me, my 2 designers, Rita and Allie, and Meredith, who's our operations manager. We are here on Mondays together, going through all of our projects and to-dos for the week. The rest of the week might be job site visits and, presentations. And so we're in and out, but I would say Mondays are really the only day that kind of I require everybody to be here in the morning for our team meetings. And the rest of the week, we communicate, obviously, all throughout the week, but we're not all together all the time. Wednesdays, I have my design collaboration meetings with my designers. So we sit down together again on Wednesday and go through all of our projects that are in the design phase, the concept phase. But so generally everybody is flexible, and I find again that they are so hardworking and I trust them completely, and I'm getting that back by giving them that flexibility.
So here's my question.
Yes.
I get all of this. I love it. I think it sounds like a nice, harmonious team. The thing about, well, whether you're in person or not, but definitely more challenging when you guys are remotely working and have flexible schedules, is accountability.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you have in place? And I hear that there's trust. I hear that.
Yeah.
Like, I hear that they're grown women that come to the job, but there's still the thing about accountability. So do you work off of Monday or Asana, or like, how do you communicate? Like, if, one person got something done on a project and it's time for the next person to pick up the ball,
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's every which way. What are you doing in the weeds so that you know what the team is doing?
Yeah.
and in between the team members, they know what's happening. And there's not a little, I thought she was doing it
Yes.
happening.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. And I think it starts with our Monday meetings where we kind of reset every Monday. We go through all of our projects on Monday as a team. We talk about all of our to-dos, who's doing what. And I say that, but everybody has a very clearly defined role. That hasn't always been the case. Of course, I've grown and I've learned as I've gone along, but everybody has their specific role. So it's just really, it's me and it's Rita and Allie on the design team. The three of us work on every project. I oversee every project and I give them direction as we start. But then Rita takes the lead as the lead designer. Allie is our technical designer and she's the junior designer. So she's designing as well, but her role is technical and renderings and CAD, and Rita and Allie work very closely together throughout the week. And we all know which projects are priority. We have a color-coded project calendar that we review together on our Wednesday meetings. And so I think it just comes down to being really organized on Monday and setting up the week appropriately. And I know what everybody's working on generally at all times. We know which projects are coming up, which meetings are coming up, and those are the ones we focus on. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So, what I'm hearing is clearly defined job descriptions.
Yes.
Like
yes.
that's, let's not skip over that part, right?
Yes. Yes. And I don't want to imply that I always had it figured out. I mean, we are a very small team and we, in the very beginning, we were all kind of doing everything and wearing many, many hats. And that still comes with having a small team. But I have gotten, I think, better at leading the team and having everybody have a clearly defined role so that we do know what the next person's working on.
Yeah. And the thing is that I think we all go through, or most of us, I should say, go through that. Oh, wait, like it has to be that clear?
Yeah. Right.
Like, can I just say, like, you do this, right?
Right.
So I think we all get that lesson at some point in our life,
Yes.
But the thing is, it changes all the time. As soon as you hire another person, it jiggers again. It changes again. I just went through that here at my business. And I literally just said yesterday, Diana's listening. And I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I said, we need the job descriptions done again because we're spinning now. I'm like, my brain is like every day, like, who does this now?
Right.
Right. I mean, like, who do I go to get this done?
Yeah, no, that is so relevant. And that just happened to us again because we hired Meredith, who's our operations manager, in January. And she's now operations, procurement, project management. But in November, October, December of last year, we were ordering. I was placing some orders. Allie was placing some orders. We were doing project management. So come January of this year, we now have Meredith in place, and I had to redo the job descriptions. But now I would say since January, February, we've gotten in a better groove and know what everybody's doing now.
Yeah. Well, and it's just as a reminder out there, you get it all figured out and then you have to figure out again.
Of course. Yeah. It's always changing as a small business and as a designer and doing all the things. It always changes. So we always have to be on our toes. Yeah.
So now that you're in the studio, I hear that Mondays are team meetings, Wednesdays are design project meetings, in the weeds, doing the design and, probably it sounds like approving and editing and all of the things. Other than that, are they at will to do and come as they please, or it's pretty much no, other than that, you're in the office. But if you say, hey, I'm stuck, I'd like to go to Starbucks and clear my brain, or hey, I'm going to yoga today at 3 instead of staying till 6 and I'm going to come back to this at 6, or is it just, you have no idea when you get there on Tuesday if anybody's going to be there or not?
I generally know that we are all in the office on Monday, and that's really all. So I don't require anyone to be in the office any other time other than Wednesdays when we have our team meeting. But for example, Meredith is our project manager. So once projects go into her, under her wing, she's on job site. She's talking to contractors. She doesn't need to sit in the office to do that. Rita and Allie, again, they come in if they need to, if we're pulling samples for a project or if we need to be designing, right? If they need to come in, they do. But I generally only expect the team in on Monday
On
and
those 2 days?
Wednesday, and
Sure.
yep, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and sometimes Fridays are for client meetings, just depending. But everybody's free to work
Interesting.
remotely, and I hear your point about accountability, but I really do trust them. I've known Rita for 8 years. She's shown me some beautiful, work that she's done for me since the beginning, and Allie too. So Meredith
Mhm.
too. So I trust them
And
completely.
what about actual communication? Is it telephone? Is it Slack? Is it text? Like, so that you actually are updating communication?
Yes, I know it sounds so silly. And I taught a master class several weeks ago, and everybody was asking about what software, what do we use? And I, I don't use Acuity or Monday. I might need to, I probably should, but we use Canva. We have a Canva document that, every client has a few pages in that Canva document, and we're updating things in there. It's obviously a live document, so we can see at all times. We have Google Sheets that we're always updating our
Mhm.
calendar by project. So, but no, I don't feel like I need to micromanage and watch and look at all of the details. I mean, I'm busy too, right? Running the business and marketing and reviewing presentations. And I feel that I trust them completely. They're delivering things to me when I ask and when I need them to be done by, and it works well.
Wow.
It works well.
So you're not showing up ever. It doesn't sound like you're ever showing up to a design planning meeting and somebody's like, "Oh, I didn't do that yet. I was so busy working on XYZ. It didn't happen." It's always done. Wow. Okay, so you need to clone all of those ladies, have them all go out and double themselves and make some for all of us.
Yes, I'm very lucky to have a great team, and we wouldn't have this. I wouldn't have this business be as successful as it is without the great team behind me. So
So that's gonna bring me to another completely different line of questioning that you and
sure,
I discussed, but
sure,
that I think fits right here.
yes.
What do you think you're doing, Bessie, as the owner, as the leader that is attracting employees and women that think like this and work like this? And once you've got them, I mean, look, you're giving them flexibility. I get it.
Mhm.
But we often, as owners and leaders of our business, need to do things for our employees that actually make them feel just the way it sounds like your team is. I want to do a good job for this person. I want to show up with my stuff done. So, thinking about that for a second, can you think of any tangible things? And you might have some glaring differences, either things in corporate that where ways you weren't appreciated, or maybe, you came from a corporate environment where you learned some of these skills. But what would you say to a colleague that has a team and is like, wait, they don't miss deadlines, they don't whine, they don't complain, they just show up and do their stuff. What are you doing different?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it comes down to kind of the golden rule, but also my golden rule, which is just treat everybody the way that you would want to be treated. And I say that with our clients, but also with my team. I mean, I want my team to feel that they have me as their leader, but I'm not micromanaging. I am letting them be creative. I'm letting them work where they want to work. I'm letting them be flexible. And I think, again, treating them the exact same way that I would want to be and the way that I wanted to be when I was working in a corporate environment for 15 years, right? It's giving your team that flexibility again, and it's not just with coming into the office or not coming into the office, but allowing them to be creative and think outside of the box and think on their own and bring me ideas that that I'm open to. I'm open to hearing all of their feedback, whether it's on a designing a home, designing a room, or even in the way that I kind of run the business, and allowing them to be a part of that business with me, I think is really key.
And
um,
in the weeds, do you
yeah.
have compensation packages that reflect the amount of volume that you do, that each individual designer does, or do they make the same amount of money whether they show up, and do the work or don't? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, is there
Yeah,
incentives built
incentive
in?
packages. Yeah, so again, we've grown very quickly. So I would say, several years ago, everybody was an independent contractor. They were part-time. They went from part-time, they went from freelance to part-time to full-time. And then effective January of this year, everybody's on a salary. So I think, I'm certainly trying to make sure that I'm compensating appropriately, and making sure that those packages are great. I mean, we are a small company, so I'm not yet offering all of the benefits that maybe some larger companies do, but I try to make that up by, again, treating them well, letting them be flexible. I take my designers to market every year, fully all expenses paid trip to market.
Wow.
Any time that they want any sort of outside, if they wanted any sort of outside, learning, I would be happy to cover that and pay for that. We're going on a spa day in a few weeks as a thank you
See,
for
these are
the
things. Yeah.
year. So I think I find little ways to make sure that they feel not only compensated well, but also treated really well. And I
Valued.
think
Yeah. Yeah.
that and valued. Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for, is that little mixture combination of the different things that you do
Yeah.
that let them know that you see them. You see them
Yes.
truly, right?
Yes, yes, and I do see them, and I also say that I love to promote from within. So Rita started as a design assistant, and now 5-6 years later, she's lead designer, and so I give them that I want to promote from within. I want them to stay with me and continue to learn with me and grow the company with me. So that's always important for me to do too.
And as a lesson for one of us listening, any of us listening, um, when you go about doing interviews, when you go to look for additional team members, do you take time to describe the culture and the negative spin, the loosey goosey, right?
Mhm.
Do you go into that and talk about that? And do you look for signs that somebody isn't going to be comfortable here? In other words,
Yeah.
it's if you have two people that you're all gelling like this, and there's three of you, good for you. But when
Mhm.
you have six employees and yourself, and you're all gelling, there is an establishment in your own mind of culture, and there has to be a way, in my mind, of communicating that when you go to look for new people and you hire them. And I'm curious,
Yeah.
how do you process that?
Yes, as you say, we are a small company. I want my team to be an extension of me. And so the way that I describe our business is, we are a boutique. We provide an elevated level of service. I want my team to reflect that. And I want my team to also treat clients the way that I treat clients. And I want us all to be in sync. And so starting with Meredith, the hiring of Meredith in January, that kind of formalized my kind of onboarding process a little bit more. Again, I was a little bit loosey goosey, as you say, for the last few years, but have learned as I've gone along, of course. But I developed an onboarding guide, and when we interviewed for Meredith's position, I probably had 20-30 people who applied, and I looked at their resumes. But for me, really, it's really not just about what's on paper and what's on that resume. It's all of the other things that go along with it. So I narrowed those 30 resumes down to 5. I interviewed all 5, and everybody, of course, is lovely, but I'm looking for that person who I think will reflect the business the best. It might not be the person with the most experience. And Meredith captured all the things that we wanted to capture in the role and more. And we narrowed it down to 3. Rita and Allie interviewed those 3, and Meredith was our top choice. But my interviewing process has gotten better, but I think it's really just about a really good feel with that person, and again, making sure that they are committed, they are dedicated, they're hardworking, but they also have that thing, right? That thing that I'm looking for, that all clients will feel that if I'm speaking with them, or if Meredith or Rita or Allie are speaking with them, they're getting the same overall personality, the same person. So
So here's the thing. I think that anyone listening can just listen to that and say, yeah, of course, I do the same thing. But you
Yeah.
know what? We don't always do that. We don't always do the same thing. The distinction in there, and what happens a lot, is we hire the person who's qualified. We hire the person whose resume fits what we were looking for. And we think to ourselves, well, like, she's nice enough,
Hmm.
right? Like, I know I've done this. I know I've done this back in the day. I don't do it anymore,
Yeah.
because I think that until you can see the wrong way of what you've done, it's hard to be objective,
Hmm.
and hard to get out of that subjective framework of, that's not what I do. But the truth is that when you just said, ultimately, if you play it back and listen to it, you ultimately said, but there's that it thing,
Hmm.
that factor, that the person will treat my clients the way I do, that whether
Yeah.
it's me or Allie or Meredith speaking, it feels the same. And you
Hmm.
see, what's happening here, Bessie, is you have clarity on your most important criteria.
Yes.
And therefore, the combination of resume and experience is a factor. But when your criteria is clear, and for you it is,
Yes.
now it's kind of like when I always, harp on everybody, you have to have your mission, vision, values for your business down. Because
Yes.
when you do, the decision goes against that. So it's like, the epitome, the illustration of it in your case is, okay, I want to hire somebody with X amount of years drafting experience, X amount of years designs, whatever it is. And though my non-negotiable
Yes.
is this it factor, which I'm going to call the way we communicate with our clients. And
Yes.
so now when you're looking at resumes, it's like, it factor, yes or no? No. Okay. Who cares that there's 10 years in drafting
Right.
experience? It
Right.
factor gone. And that is how you grow your business. You grow your
Yes.
business based on your values and your vision and your mission, which is, everybody in here will feel and
Yes.
communicate toward my client the way I would.
Yes. And that means everything to me. And I feel that that's what sets us apart. I mean, there's
See?
so many
Yeah.
designers in, everywhere, right? There's
Yes.
so many, but it's not just about creating beautiful, functional designs. That's a huge part of it, and that's why clients come to us. I think we have a general aesthetic that people are drawn to, and that's certainly a huge part of the success of the business. But for me, it's really about that other thing, which is, I want every client to feel listened to and cared for, and I want everyone to have a beautiful, wonderful experience. Because if I want to leave a mark on them. I want them to think about us maybe 10 years from now when they're building their next home, and I want to build that relationship. And it doesn't just come from me, it comes from my 5 team members too, because
Right.
I'm not always there. So
Right.
it's the one part that I'm really grateful that I have, and I have a team that
Yeah.
has that it factor that I look for in every new employee, and I'm very grateful for that.
I love it. I love your clarity on it, because here's the
Yeah.
thing. We're not saying that this is the only it factor. This is your
Sure.
it factor.
Yes. Yeah.
That is the key. In
Yeah.
another firm, the it factor could be something else. I
Yeah.
mean, that is the huge lesson of what you're talking about, and how you have, 6 women that sit around you, and everybody is just in concert together,
Yes.
because you have identified what is the most important thing for you in your building of your team, and you don't deviate from it because somebody has 2 more years experience than
No.
somebody else.
I
See?
don't. I don't.
Yeah,
I
that's
really
cool.
don't. Yes. Experience is one thing, and it's a great thing. And of course, for certain roles, you have to have some of that experience, but you have to have the whole package
Yeah.
to work here, because I really feel it's everything. It's the
Yeah.
most important thing to have the
Yeah.
full package. So,
Yeah. I think it's great. I think it's really great, because we do it in other areas of our life. I mean,
mhm.
I'm trying, I always with these damn analogies, and it's just, it could be something silly. Like, you could be a young person in college and meeting a prospective mate, but like
Yeah,
that person came from Iowa and you came from Pennsylvania, and you're just like, it is non-negotiable for me to live in Pennsylvania. And if that's not going to be on the table for you,
yes,
then you're lovely, you're sweet, you're kind, you're caring, but this is not ultimately going to fit in the vision of my life. And so let's rip the Band-Aid and find somebody else, because there's some other fish that will love to live in Pennsylvania. You know what I'm
exactly,
saying?
exactly.
Right? It's
Yes,
like there's other people out there, but you have to
yes.
know what you're looking for in them, right?
Yes, yes. I think that's a key distinction is I had to kind of really think through, what I'm looking for and how I want to be perceived and how I want to, what's that factor that clients will come to us for, and that is everybody treating everybody the way they would want to be treated and going above and beyond. And it comes from me, and it goes all the way down to, not really all the way down, but to our design assistants too. So Finley and Lexi, they're interacting with clients too. So I want
Yeah.
every interaction with our team, whether it's me or Finley or Lexi or Rita or Allie or Meredith, I want everybody to have a great connection and a great
And
experience.
because you can't promote from within, because like, listen, I have had a lot of employees over my 40 years,
Yeah.
and there's no question that there are people I could look back on and think, holy crow, we rarely have had a showroom administrator that was as efficient as you were.
Yeah.
However, literally your bedside manner was annoying. Like
Yes.
I've had showroom administrators over the years that, like, I've had to say, like, I know she's not warm and fuzzy, but you know what? She's got your project on lockdown. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's like, the thing is, those people generally don't stay around, right?
Mhm.
Because our business is also very client facing. And so it's hard. You're not like in a box in a studio. But I know the difference. We have another woman that works for us, and she is exceptional at the things that she was hired to do. And
Mhm.
she cannot stand being on the phone. She
Oh gosh.
hates answering the phone. And the thing is, we pushed through a lot of years where we're like, hey, the regular showroom coordinator's on vacation today, so you're going to answer the phone. And finally, like, she just looked at us and she's like, I don't like this. I'm not good at this. And we're like, well, you really aren't that good at it. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so
Yes.
I just think that until you put yourself to thinking about some hires that you may have had that were good and that weren't good, I'll bet you come to some clarity, even if it's hindsight, to Bessie and her lesson today, which is she
Yeah.
starts out with what's the most important thing for me, and I'll work the other stuff out. Right.
That's exactly right. Yes. All the other things will follow. And you can, again, there's some technical skills that you have to be a junior
Right.
designer with us, but you can't just have those. Allie has a beautiful personality and she's lovely and she treats clients well and she has those skills. And same with, again, Rita too. So you have to have the whole package
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes me think of our installers. In other words, we will forego some of the warm and fuzzy for astute technical skills,
Yeah.
right? Because literally the stuff is hanging on walls and it's the safety of all the humans around, right?
Right. Right.
Like you're right. However, it becomes a very
Yeah.
close second. It's
Yes.
like with the words, like Billy will say, he can handle himself in the home. And to us, that's code for he knows how to walk into a home and address a client and take his shoes off. Like, you'd be surprised the number of installers that,
Oh,
Billy is just like, I keep telling them. And we're like, okay. So it will ultimately be a deal breaker, but it's something we're more willing to train on, as
yes.
opposed to, in your situation, this leading, this communication, this relationship building, this collaborative nature is the priority, and you'll train for other skills, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes. And it's what you said is perfect because it's not just the team, it's not just my internal team, but it's also the people that we refer. So our installers, our contractors. We have some wonderful contractors that again, they're very skilled. They have to be, as you
Yeah.
say, but they do have those qualities too because they are also a direct reflection of us when we're bringing them into a project. So I look for that in them too.
Yeah. That's
And
smart.
it's
It's
important.
important. So you're not even going to, like, the best general contractor that has no bedside manner with your consumer. That's not going to be your go-to guy or woman. Like
It's not. It's
it's
not.
not your culture. It's not who
No.
you are. Yeah. No,
No,
I love
because
it.
the clients come to us generally, and then we help them generally, unless we're doing a new build where the contractor is brought in first. But sometimes for, full remodels, partial remodels, we're bringing in the installers. And so, yes, I am looking for, again, a great team who knows exactly what they're doing, but they also have to have that
Yeah.
bedside manner, as you say, and
Yeah.
be great with clients, just like I would hope that they would be, because we're
I
referring
love it.
them.
I love it. I love it. And it's interesting because you learned it quick and early. Like I
Yes.
said, I said the line, oh, well, she's not that warm and fuzzy, but she's got the project locked down. Like when you hear yourself say that out loud to a client, that's a red flag for, like, I literally went back to Vinny and I was like,
Yeah.
this is not good. Like
No.
the
No.
fact that, and the thing is what it is it's never been that somebody wasn't that somebody was unkind. But there's a difference between being friendly and being neutral. Like being
Definitely. Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
and that was the thing. And that is a mistake that we have made in the past on this person has great office administration experience. She answered all the questions right. She seems very efficient. I'm not hiring a girlfriend. I'm hiring somebody to do this. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, you don't get friendlier in real life on the phone with my customers? It's like, no,
No.
kind of showed up
No.
who I was.
Yes, you can tell. You can tell how someone is when that interview or that second interview, or just,
Yeah.
you can tell.
Yeah.
You can tell how they're
Yeah.
going to be. Yeah.
No, it's funny, but until you've made the mistake, you don't often really see it with clarity. But that's why I'm really digging into it, because there's many here who have not made the mistake yet. And if you, hopefully with, really emphasizing it, you can kind of hear the
Yes.
importance and the value. And of course, the ROI of it, of the way your life
Yes.
is now. Your
Yes.
world is great. Your business is happy. You're
Yes.
smiling.
Yes. I'm happy. It's been an absolute journey, and I am so grateful that I am doing work that I love, that brings me joy, that I hope brings, clients joy when they walk into their homes. And that is all I ever wanted from when I started this business, 5 years ago, was to make sure that, I'm fulfilling my dream, but I'm also really doing the right thing by clients and designing beautiful spaces and homes
Yeah.
for them to live in.
I love it. I love it. Well, I appreciate your sharing all of this today, Bessie.
Thank
I think it's
you.
incredible how much you've accomplished in just 5 years. And we always say about our Eric Award transferable skills. I didn't dig into it, but my guess is there's a lot of things between the 15 years in corporate, your MBA, that are all impacting,
Yeah.
how intentionally and how nicely you're laying this business out for yourself. So, congratulations to you. And thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you so much, LuAnn, for having me. It was a pleasure. And thank you so much again.
I think it's pretty clear that Bessie is one #smart lady, right? It's not easy to open a business in any condition, let alone while having a full-time career in corporate, right? With all of those expectations and demands. And then doing it from the kitchen table adds that extra layer of complexity to it, right? But after speaking with her, it's also clear that her success didn't happen by accident. She didn't stumble into business. She didn't just, see where it went and however it organically developed, okay? Her success can be traced to the clarity that she's brought to it from the beginning. She was clear about her own goals. She was clear about her priorities. She was clear on her mission and vision and values. And so therefore, she was clear about the type of firm she wanted to build and the type of people that she wanted to work with her, okay? And she went about accomplishing that from that point of clarity, right? And the way she speaks about her business, it almost makes it sound too easy, right? She lets her designers have freedom and somehow they still excel. She hires and somehow she finds truly reliable, accountable people. She steps back and gives them work flexibility and everybody still gets it all done, okay? But read between the lines. There's not a single bit of this that happened by magic. It wasn't luck. It didn't fall into her lap. She planned for it. I say to you guys all the time to sit down and figure out what you want first. What are your What is your vision for your company? What are the values that you will run that company on? And what is the mission of your company? Because when you have that established, then like Bessie, when you ultimately hire, you hire for these values. And then layer in every aspect of these values and this mission and these beliefs into the business and into the norms and the expectations for the people in the business, right? Now, if you're a longtime listener of the show, you know that like most of us, I also have made mistakes in hiring the wrong people over the years, particularly in the beginning. All right. I was so often more focused looking at the resume, the work experience, or the special skills. Okay. And I don't think for a second that Bessie would have been as successful if she hired someone who knew nothing about CAD or had never been involved in a design project, because experience is relevant, but often it is not the driving factor, like it hasn't been and it isn't for Bessie. She knew without a doubt that what she wanted and needed most from her team. She needed the same level of customer service, the same level of care and willingness to go above and beyond, the same level of respect that she gives to her clients. She wanted exemplified in the employees that work for her, and she wasn't willing to budge on that. Everything else, smartly, she knew she could teach along the way, right? I've learned a lot of things through the years about hiring from Eileen Hahn and Jessica Harling, and in recent years from Jennifer Tukatayan. They have completely changed the way that I find new employees now, from better detailed job descriptions to personality tests, all with the clarity on the type of person that you can expect to excel in specific positions, all the way to knowing when you need an implementer versus a creative, right? And now I take the same approach that Bessie does of honing in on that all-important non-negotiable. Now my non-negotiable may not be the same as Bessie's. It probably isn't. The right fit for my content manager or showroom coordinator isn't the same as her junior designer or project manager. And the right fit for the culture at WindowWorks versus Exciting Windows or versus LuAnn Niagara Inc., they're not necessarily the same as each other or as her firm. But it's the awareness, the clarity, the understanding of what your particular culture is and what do you want to cultivate on that, right? And that you can't negotiate on that and you cannot fall on the wayside on that, okay? And if you are out there and you are running your interior design firm or your window treatment company from the kitchen table, I hope you take Bessie's journey to heart. Because I can tell you this, whether you choose to always work from home or you eventually want to have a studio, right? Or maybe you're like the architect that I mentioned who literally worked out of her home for 30 years, right? It all can happen, whichever way you want it to happen. There is no right or wrong. What only matters is that you create deliberately what you want and that you concentrate on the way you deliver what you do to your clients, okay? And if you are on the verge of hiring a team member, think about these things and define for yourself that it factor, whatever it is, and commit to it. That's what's going to cut through the noise of the resumes and the people that you interview, right? It's not the skill sets, okay? It's what you have defined as the kind of culture you're looking for. And that's what's going to make the difference when you do these interviews and you look for the different people that come to your firm, right? And I'll tell you, if you need help with this, be sure to check out our newest LuAnn University class led by Jennifer Tukatayan. Build an exceptional team that gets results, okay? This is a 5-week course, and in 5 modules, Jennifer will cover identifying your leadership style, how you show up, and clarifying the culture you want to create. The next, you will delve into how do you attract exceptional people? What are the best practices for defining the roles and sourcing candidates? The next module is onboarding and how to make joining your company an impactful experience and an enjoyable experience for that new hire. Just like you care and you establish a top-notch client journey, leading an exceptional team includes making the experience for them memorable and fulfilling as well. And then week 4, the all-important tools for managing accountability and goal setting and productive feedback, okay? Big week. And then finally, week 5 ties it all together with action items and strategies for duplicating the process on your own so that you can build on the excellence that you've established and review the stages of team building so that as you go through this into the future, you've got a framework so that you can continue to develop your business. All right. This is the kind of class that earns you big dividends for years to come. I'm telling you directly, no BS. When you learn to hire properly, it touches every part of your business, from customer service to productivity to your own personal fulfillment as a business owner. The dramatic impact on your happiness factor when looking at all the eyeballs around you and knowing in your gut you have the A team around you versus knowing you've got some wrong fits, it's literally night and day. This is one of those skills that I have found to be a dramatic example of you don't even know what you don't know until you've been educated on it by someone with a proven track record, which is Jennifer. Okay, go to LuAnnUniversity.com. We are in early bird registration through December 19th, 2023, and classes begin January 30th, the week of January 30th, 2024. All righty. Bessie, thanks so much for sharing your journey and your observations with us. I'm especially enamored in how you created such clarity by understanding for yourself what was going to be important in your business as you grew it and built it, and the way you were able to come up with that, right? Think about it, make a plan around it, stick to it, and execute it. That's really awesome. All right. And thank you for joining me today. I appreciate so much that you show up. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of LuAnn Niagara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or LuAnn University, go to LuAnnNiagara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to WindowWorksNJ.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.